We were gonna go outside and do some weed pulling, New Year weed pulling, but then this happened. Snow. So plan B. Hi there, welcome into my house. Plan B it is, and I guess that's okay. I was gonna try something different this year and actually just go out and garden on New Year's Day, but I thought, you know what, maybe this is God telling me just take a little rest, go back inside because it's still snowy outside, and just have a little reflection on the past year and all the wonderful things that we were able to do and experience. So that's what we're gonna do. I just spent like the last, I don't know, 20 to 35 minutes like scrolling through my old movies that I made this year. Wow. Wowie. We're so blessed, aren't we? There's just so much to be thankful for. I'm just like, oh yeah, that. Oh, that. Yeah, oh yeah. I forgot about that. Oh, that was hilarious. That was so joyful. That was a fun experience. I'm just like, wow, what a great thing to go back and just look at everything, especially if you're just in a moment of, I don't know, depression or worry or anxiety, fear, whatever you may be feeling. Just like go back and try to remember moments where you did feel joy or you did have excitement in your life, or you remember the little blessings in life, because there's so many little blessings that we just miss when we're distracted by negative things. So anyway, I wasn't planning to say that, but I just was gonna do like a top 10 and I just kept writing things down, so I don't even know, I've got like a whole list of things here. I'm like, okay, I gotta stop. Like I gotta stop, there's so much. So in no particular order, although I will circle my favorite thing that happened this year once we get to it. It's right in the middle of my list, and that will be my number one thing this year that I just had the most fun and excitement and joy experiencing this year. But anyway, the rest of it is in no particular order. I went way back to the beginning of 2024. Happy New Year, by the way. Welcome to 2025. But way back it was snowing, and so we had a sledding day with my family. We all met up at the ball field where there's this giant sledding hill. We had to walk pretty far to get back there. So I don't know if we would walk that far again, but once we got there, it was a lot of fun. But the hill was so big that we were only able to go down it a couple of times each, because by the time we walked all the way back there and then walked up the hill, we were tired out. So it was super fun though. Most of my family went. The kids had a blast. My brothers and my sister had a blast. My mom wasn't able to come, and then of course my brother Michael was in the military still at that point, so he wasn't able to come. But that was just super fun and out of the ordinary for us. We hadn't been sledding in a really long time, so that was a fun experience. Planting begonias and geraniums. So this year I decided to seed my own begonias and geraniums. I love planting them every year. Impatiens, begonias, and geraniums are my 3 all-time favorite flowers, annuals, and usually I just buy them every year. The past few years my sister's been seeding the begonias and impatiens for me, but the begonias take forever to grow. So I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna try to seed my own begonias this year, because my sister doesn't open her greenhouse until a certain point in the spring. And so I thought I kind of wanted to try it myself and get them going a little sooner than what my sister opens her greenhouse at. And I was so pleasantly surprised at the success that I had. I couldn't believe it. I read on the internet that, you know, it's really hard to grow your own begonias, and I did big begonias, and I had like probably 80% germination success, so that was really fun. I also grew geraniums that I seeded myself this year, which was really awesome because I was able to give a lot of those to my mom. We went to my sister's house and had like a little planting party, and she planted all of her hanging baskets and all of her pots around the house with the geraniums I seeded for like next to nothing. So that was really, really fun, and I was excited and glad that we were able to do that. So we'll cross these off. Planting spring flowers. Okay, so this year I felt like we had a really, really long winter in 2023, and I was like ready to plant something. I normally don't plant spring annuals because they don't last very long. It's like, I kind of feel like it's a waste of money. But this year I'm like, I need some spring color in my life. So I went up to Cherry Valley Gardens and I bought some pansies, ranunculus, some alyssum, and a couple other things, and I think stock. And I was so happy that I did that this year. It brought so much joy to my front porch and my life. And I was like, this is amazing. I will probably do it again this year too. And I didn't go hog wild on it. I just, got the bare essentials. And with the alyssum, I left that in there with the stuff I planted that my sister gave me for the summer, and it did great all summer long. So that was really cool that I was able to plant some spring bloomers. The bulb river. So I did a living river this year. This is the first time I had planted it. I planted bulbs the previous spring, so I was excited to watch them pop up, and sure enough, they did. I got some hyacinth and daffodil bulbs on clearance at the end of the season in 2023, and I was able to watch them pop up in 2024. They were beautiful. It was everything I dreamed it would be. I tried to mirror it after the Mackinac Island river, living river, which is unreal. It takes your breath away. It was nothing like that, but for my little garden and my little humble spot that it was perfect, and I was so happy. I was able to plant impatiens in there too after the bulbs died off, and it was just the most beautiful living river ever. Another really cool thing is Nate made me a bridge going across my living river, and it was super fun. I think we bought a couple of 2x4s, and we had pallets that we cut up, so it was super cheap, and he made this amazing bridge for me. We put it down and it fit perfectly over the living river, and that little spot gave me so much joy this year and inspired me to clean up that entire area. I knew I wanted the living river and a bridge, but I couldn't visualize anything after that in that area. I knew the area needed to be cleaned up, but I was able to kind of cut out this little section with a pea stone area and put a bench there. That was another cool thing. I got a bunch of concrete on sale at the greenhouse for 40% off. So I was able to get lots of different pieces of concrete. I got chicken for my brother and sister-in-law. I got a concrete pig, a concrete bunny, a concrete bird bath. I got the concrete baby. Oh my gosh, the concrete fisherman boy. So we'll move to him next. But yeah, I bought this little concrete fisherman 40% off, so it was hardly any money. It reminded me of being at my Nanny and Poppy, that's my grandma and grandpa who passed away, at their farm in Viola, Wisconsin. And they have a farm up there that we used to go to all the time when we were little, and there's just a little river that runs through it with a bridge, and down by the bridge there was a little fisherman boy, a concrete fisherman boy with a little stick pole, and when I seen that little boy, I was like, I gotta have that concrete baby. So I bought it and I put it on my bridge, and so that was an amazing thing that happened in my garden this year. Another cool thing that happened this year was we went out to my mom's house, and my brother KJ and the rest of my brothers, besides Michael, because he's still at the military, put up a proper flagpole for my mom. The flagpole that she had was just kind of hanging off the side of the house by the garage, and anyway, it was just time to get her like a proper flagpole. So we spent some time out there, the family, whoever could come, and we put that in for her. And that was just so much fun because we were really obviously missing my brother who was away at the military, and so that was just a really great way to honor my brother and all of our military members who just fought so hard to hold that flag up high in the air for our freedom. So I was happy to help with getting that flag up. Let's see. Oh, making bouquets and boutonnieres for my brother and new sister-in-law's wedding. I felt so honored that they had me make their bouquets and their boutonnieres. Like, I had so much fun. I had never done anything like that before. The boutonnieres, I was able to actually go around and collect flowers from my own garden and put those together. Those were super fun. She wanted, which I thought was an amazing, great idea, pocket squares basically for the guys. So I just wrapped a piece of white cardboard up with some ribbon. At the top, you glue flowers on it, which I got from my garden, and then you just stick it in the pocket. So you don't have to deal with like a pin, sticking the pin in their skin or whatever, like falling off or not getting it pinned properly. You literally just have flowers on the top of the piece of cardboard and you stick it in the pocket, and then there's flowers poking out of the pocket. So that was a ton of fun to make those, and then I got to make all the bridesmaids bouquets and the bride's bouquet, and she was so sweet. She's like, I just want something like light pink and white and soft and fluffy looking, and she really liked baby's breath. So I did baby's breath, peonies, some greenery, some eucalyptus she really liked, and honestly that was it. And they turned out, I say this very humbly, they turned out beautiful. Like, I was so proud of myself for trying something new, and I'm so grateful that she entrusted me with that pretty significant thing. I mean, those flowers are going to be in their wedding pictures for the rest of their lives, forever. So I was like, okay, you got to do this right, Jess. But like, I mean, you can't go wrong with peonies and baby's breath and eucalyptus, so I guess I can't take too much credit. But anyway, Jenna, if you're watching this, thank you so much for letting me do that for your wedding. Like, you have no clue how much joy that brought me. And even going back and watching it to get some clips from it, I was just like, all the feelings started coming back of the joy that I had. So thank you so much for letting me do that for you. Which brings me to my favorite thing that happened this year. My brother got married, and man, we just had a blast. The day before the wedding started out perfect. My brother Michael came home for the wedding. He was in the wedding, so we picked him up from the airport. We got to hang out with him for a little while. We went to the wedding rehearsal, walked through. That was super fun. My whole family was there. We went to the rehearsal dinner, and that was super fun. And then the next day we had the wedding. I had family from out of town come in from Wisconsin. We got to spend tons of time with them. The wedding was just a blast, hanging out with each other all day. I got to see family from here, from Michigan, my Aunt Mary, my grandma, my grandpa, my uncles and aunts and cousins, and it was just a blast. And then we ended up the next day after the wedding. Kenny and Jenna, my brother and new sister-in-law, they had went off on their honeymoon, I think, and my family from Wisconsin was still here. They stayed at all of our houses a couple of nights. They were in town for the wedding, and we had a pool party. My aunts and uncles, they got all my guitars out and they were singing old songs, like old hymns and gospel songs that we used to grow up listening to my grandma and grandpa sing. Later that night, we went out to my brother's house and had a campfire. It was just like heavenly. Honestly, I imagine like this is what heaven is going to be like. Just so much celebration and being around family members and just enjoying each other's company and just celebrating all the good things that God has given us and celebrating the evidence of His goodness all over our lives. So anyway, that was the highlight of my summer right there. The wedding. Okay, we'll keep it moving. Another thing I wrote down was the bluebird house that my father-in-law gave me. My father-in-law gave me this bluebird house probably like the previous year for my birthday. And I knew where I wanted to put it, but it was over by my raised garden bed, and that area needed a facelift really bad. Once I got that done, I was able to put that bluebird house up, and I think it looks just beautiful over there. So that was like a really nice little touch to that area. I'm beginning to kind of clean that area up after my brother put the trellis in, and it's starting to take shape. So I'm liking how it's looking, especially after the bluebird house. So thank you, Skip, for the bluebird house. The little rock garden I made out by the mailbox, it was just kind of on a whim. I had some extra blue rocks and some big white rocks that I found at Lake Michigan, and I was like, man, how can I use these in a cool way? So I went out by the mailbox, and I think it was actually the 4th of July that I did it on. I wanted to do something red, white, and blue, so I had red begonias out there, and I had blue and white rocks, and I just took them and made a little design. I had the white rocks all placed next to each other, and it was acting as like the middle of a flower, and then I put all the blue rocks around each white rock as like a little blue petal. So that turned out really great, and actually the gal who does our mail, the mail lady, she goes to our church too, and she commented on it, and she's like, did you put like rocks in the shape of flowers out by your mailbox? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, that is so pretty. I really love looking at that every time I drop your mail off. And I was like, well, good, because that's kind of why I did it. Like I know just little things like that might brighten your day, something nice to look at when you're on your work day. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. Another thing I had fun doing this year was going out to my brother's garden. He took us on a tour of his amazing vegetable garden. He's got all kinds of vegetables, peppers, you name it, tomatoes, you name it, all the different kinds. He grew corn, potatoes, sweet potatoes, celery, zinnias, cleome, like all kinds of stuff he grew, and I was so proud of him. He has such a green thumb, and he does a really great job with it. He also grew carrots, and these carrots are the most amazing tasting carrots. If you've never had a carrot straight out of the ground before, it rocks your world. Like the carrots from the grocery store just don't even hold a candle to these carrots in my brother's garden, and they're almost like candy. They're so good. And anyway, I helped him harvest all of his carrots that day, and I think we ended up with 42 or 47 pounds of carrots, and that was just like one of his harvests, one of his hauls of carrots. So he sent me home with a bunch of carrots. I ended up making carrot soup and like a pot pie and all kinds of stuff. I just like to honestly cut them up, put some olive oil, salt, and pepper on them, and maybe like a little bit of rosemary, and put them in the oven on high and bake them, and they're so good. Anyway, that was a lot of fun, just walking around my brother's garden and seeing all the joy on his face as he showed me all of these plants that he grew from seed. Like he starts all of his plants in his basement by seed, and then just to see the fruits of his labor, literally, and he's walking around showing me like, yeah, this is this and this is this, like just all the excitement on his face. Watching all the excitement on his face showing me what he had done just filled my heart up. So I loved that. That was really fun to go back and watch. Another really fun thing was getting a tour of my grandma's garden before her and my grandpa downsized into a condo. I was able to walk around my grandma's garden. She showed me all of her plants that she had and told me stories about the things that her and my grandpa planted, the things that were already there, things that were given to her. And my Aunt Mary was there too. And actually my Aunt Mary was there too. So it was really fun to hang out with those two and just hear their stories. And I found out that actually my grandpa was pretty much like the gardener, but he didn't really want to take credit for anything. So my grandma showed us around the garden, but she's like, this is mostly grandpa. He's the one that's out here all the time, like watering and pruning and weeding and, you know, moving things around. And anyway, so it was really, really cool to see that, because honestly, I've seen so many similarities of my garden and my grandma's garden and vice versa. Like, we have a lot of the same tastes and we did a lot of the same things for the same reasons. So anyway, I'm a lot like my grandma in that aspect, and it's really cool because she gave me like a few things from her garden, like this cute little gecko, metal gecko that my dad gave her. She gifted it to me. And she gave me a few other things. She loaded my car up with stuff, actually. So anyway, that was a lot of fun to hang out with her, my grandpa, and Aunt Mary one last time at their house before they moved into a condo. Another awesome moment in the garden this year was I was swimming in the pool and I heard a bunch of ruckus over in the gully, and I'm like, what is that? That's not like a chipmunk or a squirrel or a raccoon. Like, that's somebody doing something. And so I got out of the pool, put my towel on, and like walked around the corner. And you guys, Nate was over there adding a pathway with pallets that we cut up. I really wanted to put a pathway in this one spot, and I can't remember why. I think I ran out of pallets or something, so I was like, I'll just do it a different day. Well, I think Nate had like went up to somewhere, got more pallets, cut them up for me, and he's like, I'm gonna put the path in for her and surprise her. So that's exactly what he did. I walked up on him and I'm like, what are you doing? And there's this beautiful windy path. He even moved 2 of my hosta out of the way. And honestly, you guys, I give him a lot of credit, because sometimes when I'm explaining things to him that I want to do in my garden, I feel like he's not listening and he can't be bothered. But he must have been listening this time, because I remember telling him, you know, I want to make a path right here. I'm gonna have to move these couple hosta out of the way. He moved the hosta out of the way. He was listening to me. So he set up the camera, he filmed himself doing it. A lot of it was like rear end shots. I'm like, Nate, you gotta make sure you don't put your rear end in the camera the whole time, but you did good. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun, and I thank you to my sweet Navy for putting in that path for me. A huge thing that we did this year was we cleaned up my mom's fence line. She has this beautiful field in the back of her yard, and it used to be pretty clear when we were younger. You could see, you know, for miles, and just over the years, you know, it's been hard for her to keep up on the fence line. So all these like vines and weeds and bushes and trees just grew up, and she's like, man, I'd really love for that to be cleaned up. So my brother and I went out there, we started cleaning it up, and we always joked because we walked out of the house to go start it, and I said to KJ, my brother, I'm like, do you think I should have Nate come and bring his chainsaw and help us? And he goes, oh no, we'll be done in a couple of hours. Well, like a couple of days later, we didn't realize how overgrown and crazy it was. And, you know, once we got to cleaning little sections, we're like, wow, this looks really good. We were only going to clean like a little section, but the more we cleaned out, we're like, the more we should keep going, because it just looked so much better. So we ended up cleaning quite a bit the one day, and we ran out of time So we came back a couple of days later and we were gonna put in a fence, actually, because the fence that we cleaned up had been there for, I don't know, 40 years or so, and the actual trees and stumps and stuff were growing into the fence, so we couldn't salvage the fence at all. So we ended up putting in a new fence and then cleaning out another whole section of the fence line, which is a lot. Then we cleaned it up, and we ended up cleaning up another whole section of the fence line. So it ended up being just really beautiful. You could see for miles again, like we used to when we were little. There's still a little section down at the other end that we might still clean up. We don't know yet, but that was a lot of fun doing that for my mom. Speaking of my mom, another fun thing that we did this year, just the two of us, I went over there to bring her, I think, some coneflower that I got for clearance probably, and I didn't need it in my garden, so I went to bring it to her, and she's like, do you want to walk around the yard and cut flowers for a flower bouquet? I'm like, absolutely I do. So it was beautiful. She's got tons of different kinds of hydrangeas, and we cut a bunch of her limelight hydrangeas and butterfly bush, flax, roses, penstemon, lavender, all kinds of different stuff. And we just kind of sat on the deck talking and put bouquets together, and it was just a lot of fun to just spend quality time with just me and my mom. That was a lot of fun. The geraniums. So this past year I got red geraniums in like a 4-inch pot for $1. Yeah, $1. And it was a little bit later in the season. I think it was like the end of June maybe. So I'm like, well, it's the end of June, but I really always wanted to do window boxes off of my deck out here, and I just never wanted to pay the money for it. So this year, when I seen those geraniums for $1, I was like, not only can I get geraniums for $1, I know how to overwinter geraniums, and I can keep these geraniums for years and years and years to come. So it's a really good investment. So I ended up buying these window boxes that you can hang off the deck. They were super inexpensive, and they've got the cocoa liner in it. And I hung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, I think, off the deck. And then I just put 3 geraniums each in there. So they ended up being, I can't remember, I counted how much it was, but they were pretty cheap for like the whole unit, each window box with 3 geraniums in it and the soil. And honestly, I didn't even like water them very much. They actually held their water pretty good. I was nervous about it because they're pretty much in the full sun out there, and there wasn't much soil in those little reservoirs with the cocoa liner, and that can dry out usually pretty good. So I was pretty pleasantly surprised at how little I had to water those, and honestly, I didn't even care because they were so beautiful. I enjoyed those so much last year, and it reminded me of Mackinac Island, of course, one of my favorite places, the Grand Hotel, how they have just these beautiful straight red geraniums everywhere, and I kind of had a little piece of that again in my own garden, so that was super fun. The bird bath. I bought a bird bath this year at 40% off, and I put it down where I had my other bird bath, and it was getting so gross. It was right under a black walnut tree, so all the black walnuts were dropping in it. It was disgusting. There was leaves and sticks. I could not keep it clean for the life of me, and so I was like, you know what, I think I need to move this bird bath. And I really dragged my feet on it because when you have something in a spot and you've never seen it anywhere else, it's like you can't imagine it anywhere else. And I felt like God was like, no, I've got a better plan for you, bird bath. We're gonna go in a different spot. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna feel painful to rip you out of that spot. But when I set you in your new spot, you're just gonna shine in all your glory. And that's exactly what happened with that bird bath. It was so painful and hard for me to take it out of the spot I had it in, because I had always had a bird bath in that spot. I'd never known that spot to not have a bird bath. And so I took it out and I put it up in the gully, in the most beautiful, magical, perfect spot. And as soon as I set it down up there, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You were meant for this spot. And as soon as I went and took it from the old spot, I felt like I could breathe. Just taking it out of the old spot, I was like, wow, this is so much better. Even just not having there. I didn't even place it anywhere yet. But anyway, that was a lot of fun getting that in that spot. Couple more things. It was so much fun to spend time with my brother Michael and Karsten and my mom and help my mom get a Christmas tree this year. It's kind of a tradition wherein I go over there and help her decorate her house for Christmas and help her decorate her tree. So it was really cool to actually like go pick the tree up for her this year. We've done that a couple of times, but it's not like a regular occurrence every year. So we were saying like, man, we should do this every year. This is super fun. So that was fun to go do that and check out that little store that we found and hang out with my family. And then I will end with one of my other favorite things I got to do just recently was hang out with my brother Johnny at my mom's house. He He has always been a huge supporter of me and the music that I've made over the years. Him and I have always done music together ever since we were little young kids, and he's always been kind of like my little sidekick, encouraging me and supporting me along the way. And he just had a vision to get pictures and videos and kind of put life into the songs that I just recently worked really hard to write and record. And he's like, Jess, we gotta get some video and pictures to go along with your songs because they're really good, and I really think visually people will like to see stuff along with it. So I was like, all right, I believe you, I trust you. And he's never steered me wrong. Everything my brother touches turns to gold. He is so talented at everything, and he kind of has put a little bit of a fire back in my heart for music just by him doing that with me the other day. So I'm so appreciative and so thankful for him in my life and throughout all the years that he's blessed me with his talent. And I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of all the things that he creates, and just being a part of one of his creations is so amazing. So anyway, that was probably the last biggest highlight of the year for me, was hanging out with my brother, recording some video footage for my music. So that was just my kind of quick, short list. I could go on and on and on about all the wonderful things that happened this year, and just the moments I got to spend with Nate and Max and my family, and at church and my garden, just all the different places and the people that I was able to come in contact with this year. And all of you guys, I'm always thankful for you guys, just your pokes on my movies, your comments, your encouragement, your support. It's just so meaningful to me, and I try to read all your comments and I try to respond as much as I can. It is hard to get to all of them, but I just want you to know how much I appreciate you in my life. We are all so very blessed, and I am consistently reminded of that every time I read one of your comments. Like, it's just amazing to me that you can pour your heart out to somebody that you've never actually like physically met before. So thank you so much. I will never, ever, ever take any of you for granted. I appreciate you so much. And I hope that you had a wonderful 2024. And I know that 2025 is going to be amazing too. So Happy New Year, and I will see you guys hopefully soon. Bye. There's a gal at church that every time she sends an email, she ends it with her name, Laura, and then she says, "Make today a great day." And I just love reading her emails and reading that. And so I just want to say that to all of you today. I'm going to steal Laura's line and say, make today a great day. I think attitude and positivity goes a long way. Perspective goes a long way. There's a lot of things that we can be thankful for, even when we're in like the depths of despair. There's a lot of things that we can thank God for, and so I think that can make today a great day. But anyway, I sure hope to see you next time, and I really appreciate you and I love you. Bye.